Welcome to SCV Chat. It is Wednesday at a lovely 7:03 afternoon. I'm your host for the evening, Moose, joined by our Lieutenant Commander Chief Jason Boshers. Before we get started, please remember, opinions expressed on this broadcast are not necessarily the views and opinions of the SCV, its GEC, nor any divisions, brigade, camps, or any other subsidiaries. How are you doing, Commander?
I'm doing quite well, Moose. Thank you for asking. How are you doing down there in Mississippi? How's the storms doing, y'all?
Oh, the storms are going great. We if I zone out here tonight, it is because we are in a good level storm. Jabo knows it took me a good minute to get on because of the storm, and everybody on the chat also knows of my good old computer troubles. Anyway, I use a not old computer, but a computer that I loved during college and has been put through the ringer. So if I leave tonight, just keep on going, people, because it's a good possibility with a storm.
Well, it's kind of been that way around here. We've had some trees down. I've noticed on Facebook. I was looking earlier, and Joe Ringhofer from down in Mobile, they had some storms come through and had some trees down on the street he lives on. Um, it's same thing here. We got so dry. We went a couple of weeks, no rain, or nearly 2 weeks. And we've had rain. I'd say 3 out of the last 5 days we've had rain. Now, I live 12 miles just south of, actually 12 and a half miles from the parking lot at Elm Springs. And I was up there today and it was dry. They haven't had hardly any rain up there. Where down here in Mount Pleasant, I've had to mowed the yard a couple of days ago, and I'm gonna have to mow it again before we go to reunion. That's just welcome to the Southland during this time of year. You're just gonna have these afternoon thunderstorms, or welcome to the furnace. After it rains, it turns into a furnace. So. Yeah.
Oh yes, Rob. It always seems to rain when I'm about to go on a trip, and so my house will look lovely when I leave. By like tall grass. By the time I get back, it's of course probably been raining for like a good couple days, so my house looks like no one lives there, and I
Yeah.
bush hog the farm and all that. It's lovely this time of year.
Oh yeah, your Bermuda's got up and it's seeded out and it's everywhere. So yes, I understand. I understand.
Give
The no, you're good. I just had something pop up on my machine. I'd like to start out, if you don't mind. I'd like to, keep Paul Gramlin and Linda Gramlin in our prayers. And
yes.
in our thoughts. I know that she is showing some signs of improvement. It's 2 steps forward and a step back, because it's, you make it to the next level and then, but she is improving, and I am very happy for that. I haven't had a chance to talk to Paul in the past couple of days, but I'm going to give him a call and see what he thinks about if they're going to be able to make it to reunion or not. It just wouldn't be right if Paul Gramlin doesn't come to the reunion. Linda, him and Linda are they're a staple of National Reunion, and just keeping them in our thoughts, hoping that she continues to get better, and they take care of all of these health problems that she's having, and hopefully they'll be there. And then y'all just think about them. Another thing, Paul says he will be there. Thank you, Paul. That is good to be there. Good you'll be there. I hope Linda continues to improve. Been thinking a lot about them. And another thing, today, somebody turned 201 years old today. A little fellow we might know of by the name of Nate Bedford Forrest. He 201 today. Went out to his grave site. Went to the Equestrian Statue. said hi to him today. He didn't say anything back, but I did say hi to him. And just thinking about what that man has done for us and our organization, still doing for us. And then a third thing is the shirt I'm wearing. This shirt I am wearing on purpose because a fellow by the name of Calvin Hart, some of y'all might have heard of, out of the good state of Florida, sent me this shirt and told me that I am going to need to wear this all the way through National Reunion. So I don't know what this shirt's going to look like by the time I get through National Reunion, but I just want to thank Calvin Hart and the Florida boys, and it does say Florida Strong on it, So I don't know if y'all can see that very good, but I just want to thank them for the shirt. And since I was going to be on tonight, I thought I'd put the shirt on. I actually wasn't coming on at all, and Moose can tell you, because our schedules haven't been very good. I could have come on Monday, but Larry needed to come on. Our Commander-in-Chief, Larry McClooney, needed to come on. And then of course, you got to have Donnie Kennedy. I mean, it's just, he's a staple of our organization, just a real workhorse. And I enjoyed, I listened to it. Yeah. And I was, during that was when I made a couple of comments, and that's when Moose sent a message and asked about doing this special one on Wednesday. Because tomorrow night I'm on the board of directors at the Sam Davis home, and tomorrow night we have a board of directors meeting. So I was going to be at it, so I couldn't be there on Thursday. And this past Thursday I had another meeting I had to attend to, and then the past Monday I was speaking at a camp. So there's a whole lot of things that and our schedules just haven't they keep gliding instead of working together. And but Moose asked me, he said, "Hey, you want to come on Wednesday?" And it worked out, and that's why I am here. So I want to thank you for the opportunity for this, Moose. Again, I want to thank you and Connor for bringing this to me in Jacksonville, and I think it has worked out well. It's the only place you can probably get straight up recent news is right here on SCV chat. And is there anything you'd like to jump in and say at this point?
No, sir, not at the moment. Other than we're happy that we were able to get you on. We're excited that we were able to do a Wednesday special with you. That gives you all the time you want, sir. And with you running for CIC, I don't think anything else fits that important office enough than a special episode dedicated to you for running.
Well, y'all have heard me say this before, and so I'll go back into the history of this. I was never even considering anything running for any kind of office at all. And the way things happened to work out back in 2015 was there was not there was some tossing up of who was going to run for Army of Tennessee councilman, and nobody had really announced. So who are Larry McClooney, our now Commander-in-Chief, and George Connor Bond approached me when we were at doing a dedication and a memorial, asked me if I would run. And I told them I would, not thinking that anything would come of it. So I did. And next thing I know, I'm commander, and then LT. It was one of those things I've never really set out to do. Get any kind of position like this. To me, it's always about doing the job. I don't really go out and seek offices or anything like that. Since I announced on here that I was going to be running for Commander-in-Chief, I've gone and I've spoke at numerous places and never said a single word about me running for Commander-in-Chief. When it comes to something like that, I guess I am a horrible politician. And the fact that I don't come out and say, "Hey, I'm running for, vote for me." I don't do that. My idea has always been Same reason that I worked for a place for 36 years, do the job. And if you do the job, then what people decide to do past that is it's entirely left up to them. So I never really set out to be in the position that I'm going to be running for commander in chief, but here I am. And then the idea becomes, well, what do you do? What's your plans? Nobody had really asked me my plans until it you posted on here on SCV chat and you see what his plans are for the organization. Well, I've always kind of had my plans, but I've never really sat down and lined anything out. There's so much stuff that comes up from day to day, like today, for instance. We had somebody contact us and wanted to donate a complete set of ORs to the library, to the museum. But we had to go get them. They were going to give them to us, donate them to us, but we had to go get them. So, and it was local, fairly local, only about an hour and a half from Elm Springs. And so, Executive Director Adam Southern, a fellow y'all might have heard of, he and I went and picked them up today. It's that kind of stuff that comes up. It's always going to be a day to day. You wake up. I've noticed that from being my previous 6 years. You wake up to something, and whatever you wake up to is what you have to deal with. And you spend a lot of time dealing with stuff like that. And the things that you wanted to accomplish for the day, sometimes you get them done, sometimes you don't. And the problem with the things you don't get done, they keep getting pushed farther back. One of the things that I wanted to do was work with getting member benefits. Being a member of the Sons of Confederate Veterans, it is not a right. It is a birthright. It is a privilege to join this organization because you had an ancestor that did something. And with that, he gave you, through you being his descendant, the birthright to join this organization. So it is, then you study the charge and you try to live the charge. So, you wake up and, okay, today I'm going to contact this company and this company and this company and see what we can do about working together with the Sons of Confederate Veterans to develop some kind of membership package to where we can help our members, because it really should be more to, I would like to see more to this organization than let's see some real benefits, things that really help our members. And that was one of the things that just really never, I worked on it, but I never could work on it enough to get it going. That is one of the things that I wish I could have gotten done. I didn't get it done, and I regret that. But tomorrow's another day, and we'll live to fight another day, and we'll tackle it on that day. So, anything else you want to add in there, Moose?
No, sir. No, sir. I 100% agree with you. I don't do anything in this organization. I like to tell people I'm young. I'm just starting off. And even seeing what some people have to deal with, I have been blessed since being aide de camp to the Mississippi Division Commander and the CiC, just what all y'all do. And before that, I was around a couple people that were like, I don't really understand what all they do. It wasn't until I was one of y'all's aide de camps. I was, of course, I've been the aide de camp for Commander in Chief Larry McClooney and Mississippi Division Commander Connor Bond. And ever since that happened, and I've gotten a kind of a little window in with all y'all deal with. It's just different that y'all deal with all these day-to-day issues, all the things you want to get done, all the things that need to get done, all the things that people keep asking you to get done. It is amazing. Yeah. So I give props to people in higher offices for all the stuff y'all have to deal with. from media, the cancel culture, from everything. I mean,
Yeah.
it's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it really is. And I think it's kind of funny you brought up cancel culture. I almost called it culture. But cancel culture. Um, that whole deal, I put that on from the flyer about the Rebel Rouser cruise in that we were going to have in Elm Springs. And I put it on Facebook, and next thing I know, they've taken it down and told me it goes against community standards. And of course, you can do a reply to say, "Hey, let's take a look at this again." And I did that. Then the reply back I got was, "We're extremely short staffed. We might be able to review this or might not." And it's just and it's just one of the things. I've had other posts taken down by them. I think most of us have had something taken down by them. But I just put a flyer out there, and yeah, sure, it did have Rebel on it, and I don't think that's a bad thing. And then it had our company logo on the bottom of it, and I don't think that's a bad thing. And then it had our Confederate Museum logo. I didn't think that was a bad thing, but looking at it, going,
Who knows? I was shadow banned from commenting with my SCV page for almost a year. I couldn't even comment on it with SCV chat. Like if SCV chat was live, I'll comment sometimes to mess with Connor or just to see if I can make one of us laugh stream.
yeah,
And it was like, nope, you are unallowed to comment. Have been saying hateful comments, and I'm like, huh. I know I haven't said hateful comments.
yeah,
And then for more than a year now, I have been shadow banned on my SCV page,
wow,
where I'll post something and then someone will send me a message. I don't know how I just saw this post you posted about a month ago, and I'm like,
yeah,
yeah, I don't know what's worse, getting at least told you're banned, or
yeah.
being having to figure out for yourself.
Sometimes I have no idea what I've done wrong, but that's kind of unusual. That's not unusual. It's you realize that where we are and where we stand and what we do, that the percentage of people are really for us and for what we do. And that's one of the things that they don't want you to know. Uh, when they put stuff out there, they want you to think, okay, this is the whole weight of the world dropping down on you, and you are the unusual one in this. The reality is, they are the unusual ones in all of this. They are the ones, they're a very small number, but they have the media's ear. And when they've got the media's ear and the media's mic and the media's camera, they can pretty much push out whatever in the world they want to push out. The majority of your people, well, okay, let's talk about the flyer that they took down. Have you seen how crazy it went out everywhere after? When I put my post out there that they had said it was against community standards, it just flat out went crazy where they were posting it everywhere. And it's just that's how people feel. Uh, and at some point in time, they're going to realize that they're making the wrong people mad,
Yeah,
and don't know when that's going to happen, but sooner or later it is going to happen, because our ancestors were right, and we are right in our fight right now. We're just continuing that fight. We're fighting it differently than what they did, but we are still in that fight. So and as far as everything that has happened over the last couple of years, and to get back to something that you said earlier, you're right. I had no idea what all the GEC had to go through, and the procedures they must step through, and the things they have to check on, and it's constant. It is constant. I had no idea what that was like. As compatriot that sat in the audience during a national reunion, just sitting in the audience, listening to everybody, and you know, trying to still figure out what Vision 2016 still is to this day. Just still trying to sit there and figure out all of this, and trying to figure out a way to work with everybody. And then I had no idea. Honestly, had no idea when I come on in 2016, I was elected Army councilman in Texas in 2016. My first GEC meeting was, it was, a couple of days, after getting back from reunion, I'm getting phone calls, and it is, people found out, and people are not really wanting to get your thoughts and ideas on what you were going to do, but to bend your ear, so to speak, on some of the things that they think that needed to be done or needs to be done. And many of those have been wonderful ideas, and I've enjoyed working on a bunch of them, and some of them have come to fruition over the last 4 or 5 years. Nothing gets done in a day. In the GEC, yes, the General Executive Council does move slow, but they move cautiously, and they are very careful and try to be, and do the right thing when they can, or as much as they can. So, yeah, Victor Smith, we are fighting a culture war and not a military war. If you listen Monday night, you heard those two men talk about the culture fight that we're in. And I'm talking about Chief Heritage Operations Donnie Kennedy and Commander-in-Chief Larry McClooney. Both of them are very good men. Both of them are very devout men. Both men are very dedicated to this organization, and their sole purpose is to do the right thing the right way, that it better promotes our organization and still keep the charge. And with those two men, and you see everything that they have gone through, and as I have worked with them over the years, you realize that this is very much a culture war. This is, it's very simple. American history is Southern history, and Southern history is Confederate history. It is all one thing. It all works together. And the whole thing is to not, I thought, people were saying at one time, well, they're just after the Confederate stuff because they're the lowest hanging fruit and they're the easiest to get. And that is a beautiful analogy. But it goes a farther than that. In fact, that we are the sweetest fruit. We are the fruit that they want to get rid of. We are the fruit that they want to pick, and then they want to cut the tree down. And that tree is the tree of liberty, because we are the last hope for a true America that our forefathers dreamed of and tried to maintain in 1860, because their ancestors wanted to plant a tree of liberty and they wanted to grow it. And they did that in 1776. And then you've had these whole people since then, these whole groups of people. They want to pick the fruit and then they want to cut the tree down. We are the last bastion of what makes America America, period. Now, you can disagree with that, and you can tell me I'm wrong. But guess what? You ain't gonna change my mind. You're just gonna be talking. Might as well talk to a stone wall. My mama told me that I could always tune people out better than anybody she ever knew, and I have absolutely no problem tuning you out when you start down, spitting out that stuff like you're a pest dispenser, and you think that you know everything and you know how to do it and you know what's right. And I'm an idiot for believing the way that I do. You're not going anywhere. So, let's talk about a few things. Do you need to take care of some business?
I
see some stuff popping up on the chat. So,
yeah, I don't know how to explain this one.
Okay.
It seems,
well, that goes to show that all they want to do is hack us. I've been seeing a lot of stuff. They just want to hack us and mess with us. I noticed that over the last couple of months on Facebook and everywhere else, that somebody'd send a message, you've been hacked. And then I'll get some of these wild emails that's just a hack deal. And, clickbait stuff where you click on this and next thing you know, you've got a virus and it's sending stuff out to everybody. This is another one of those things that these kind of people that we're dealing with. So, but if you listened Monday night, and I'm not going to go into everything that Commander in Chief McClooney and Heritage Chief Donnie Kennedy did and said, but I will go ahead and say this: they were right as well. Period. How they feel is how I feel. The things that have been accomplished over the last couple of years, and I must say this, it does not seem like it's been 2 years since we walked out of Jacksonville, but it has been 2 years since we walked out of Jacksonville. And during that time, museum got open. We dedicated the Jeff Davis statue. We've started and had 2 pilgrimage and homecomings. We had the forest reinterment. We had the Tennessee United Daughters of the Confederacy pediment memorial pediment service dedication. So we have had a lot of things going on over the last couple of years, and I just I just want to thank everybody that has participated and everybody that has taken part in this. I want to thank the GEC for everything that they have done over the years. There's been so many of them that have put in the time and the effort, and it shows we have been successful. And all I can say is I don't know what it's going to be like to be sitting in the chair. And the chair is the Commander-in-Chief's chair. I have no idea, and I'm not going to pretend to know. You're not going to know until you're there, and you're not going to know what all you have to deal with till you get woke up in the night, or you have to deal with it when you wake up in the morning. Everything's going to bring something different. I would like to congratulate everybody who has worked on the museum. I think Adam Southern has done a fantastic job. All the work and effort he's put in. Then you have all of the staff that's up there, and you see them carrying stuff in and out and working on stuff. And then Larry McClooney put this fella y'all might know by the name of Jimmy Hill in charge of putting the timeline up in the museum. And Jimmy Hill, and he's had some people work with him. One of them's a fellow by the name of Robert Julson out of Alabama. And those 2 guys have really done yeoman's work as far as getting the timeline up. And it is very possible that by the time we get to National Reunion, half the timeline is going to already be done. I was up there today, and if any of you have been in the museum, when you've got the counter and you go in on the left and you go enter on the museum on the left, there was a room that was right there on the left. And that room opened up into the museum. Well, that was like a utility closet and a cleaning closet. And it didn't need to be opening up into the museum, because if you needed to get a mop bucket out, you had to go into the museum and then fill it up and then come back out, and just wasn't very efficient. It was one of those design flaws that weren't caught. So we had to move the door, and right now we're in the process. The door the opening's already been cut, and the facing's been put in, and where it opened into the museum has already been sheetrocked over. So that part is going to be done. So we've got the cabinets that are in. We have artifacts that are coming in. Like I said, we went and picked up stuff today. Stuff's coming in now. There's still things that we need. One of the things that we're still going to need, we really need some kind of textiles in there. Right now we have the vest that Forrest wore after he was wounded at Fallen Timbers. And, that's going through a process with it. We're going to get some more determination on that. I tell you, Jimmy Hill and them have just done a fantastic job. But anything that you can come across with any kind of styles, we need those. If you've got a kepi, a coat, a pair of pants, shoes, something that was your ancestors that you would like to be part of this display, please get in touch with us, because that is the part that we need to grow. Now, somebody said something about donating some 3-band muskets. Well, yes, we're going to need them. We had somebody that had contacted me at the very beginning that had 17 three-band infields, and he was not going to give them to us. He was going to put them on loan to us, but we had to build the cabinet, and we had to keep them all out the entire time, and we had to keep them together. So with restrictions like that, the museum would never change, so we couldn't go for anything like that. Museum has to change, and it has to evolve, and it has to be different, because if it stays the same, you're not going to come. Nobody's going to come. You come in there and you say, well, what's new? Oh, my goodness, it looked the same 3 years ago when I was here. You're not going to come. So, when you have restrictions on stuff like that, even especially on textiles, somebody will say, well, we want to leave it out. You can't leave it out all the time. That light's going to deter the flag or the vest or the cappy or whatever. That constant exposure to light's going to do it. So it's only going to go out temporary. And then it's going to go into the archive room, and it's going to be taken care of and kept out of the light. So we want all this stuff to last. So when somebody comes in and they say, well, I'll put it on display, but you're going to have to give it its own cabinet and keep it all out there together. Well, that's not going to happen. We can't do that. We have to be able to rotate the exhibits within the museum. We have to. It cannot become stale. It cannot become stagnant. The museum itself is kind of rolling along pretty good. We still got a long ways to go on it. And of course, one of the things that always comes up is about the financing. Yes, we do have a note on it. Yes, we are making the payments. Yes, it is in the budget to continue to make the payments. Just like you would with your house or your car or anything else, you'd like to pay it off early. If I understand right, when Elm Springs was bought, it was either a 20 or a 30-year note that was bought on, and they paid it off in 10 years. The whole point of this push is to pay all this stuff off early. It's just a benefit to do that. Nobody wants to carry debt. I don't want to carry debt. And the best that we can do is to work toward getting that debt paid off as quick as we can. We have measures in place to make sure that anything like this never happens again, to where we never get into this kind of financial again. And thank goodness for all the people who have worked on that. And thank goodness for the members who passed it and put all this stuff in place, because this does not need to be repeated. What we have been going through with the museum and the payment of the museum. So people say, well, what are you going to do? Well, first of all, one of the things you have to think about, and I'm going to pause right there. Moose, we've been on 34 minutes. Do you want to take a break, a Pop-Tart break, because it's getting close to our Pop-Tart break?
Yeah, so we can take a Pop-Tart break time. I have been quiet, everybody, for two main reasons. Tonight is the Lieutenant Commander's night, and because we're having an interesting troll. I don't know if they're really a troll or people that are trying to sell their own unique product. I'm trying to deal with them because they keep popping back up with new accounts. So that has not been talking much. I've had an interesting time trying to get rid of them. But, as all commercial breaks are, our Pop-Tart breaks are sponsored by the Confederate Legion. Confederate Legion is how we're going to win this fight, people. It is going to be one of the, Mr. Donnie Kennedy, the political arms of the SCV. And so make sure you join today at www.makedixiegrace.org. And stay tuned, because after the Pop-Tart break, we will be back.
There is a place nestled in the rolling farmland of southern Middle Tennessee. A home constructed in 1837, nearly lost to the ravages of war. Saved by a servant and a Confederate general. A place where families loved and lost. If walls could talk, what stories could be told? If a place, a home, can feel love, loss, pain, surely this is one of those places. Nearby is a more recent structure, and inside are the stories of heroes and heroines, stories of battles won and lost, stories of sacrifices made by the people of its native soil. A place that will tell the true and complete story of the Southland and the war fought for its freedom. From the causes that led to the conflict to the modern-day struggles to protect Southern history. Historic Elm Springs and the Confederate Museum at Elm Springs are the general headquarters for the Sons of Confederate Veterans. A place where the story of the Southland and its historic struggle is preserved and told. Come and discover your history.
Well, welcome back, everybody. We're back from our Pop-Tart break. Happy to see everybody again. We are having the Thursday show, Miss Linda, but we wanted to give Jason a special episode, if you will. And two, our schedules were a bit booked this close to National. And it was my job to book everybody in advance. Was running for an office, so we kind of just were like, hey, Wednesday. And so yeah, I'm happy we're back. If he sees the role I'm dealing with, just pay them no mind. I'm taking care of that one. But yes, happy to be back. And from there, I'll let Jason take back over.
Yes, and I saw where Carl put that on there. Yeah, just and people say, well, it's just $5 a month. Well, $5 a month, what is that? $60 a year? And if you have, I don't know what, 10,000 people doing that, 5,000 people doing that, it makes a dent in something. Nothing's. People think, well, I'm gonna make a big donation. Doesn't matter. A donation's a donation. If we all give and do what we can give and do, then we'll make it and we'll win. We just have to give whatever it is that we can give and do to the best of our abilities. The harm is not doing anything. And people say, well, sometimes if you don't do anything, well, nothing bad can happen. Well, bad can happen no matter if you're doing everything right or nothing at all. So why just sit on your thumbs and do nothing? Get out there and do something. And, okay, well, I can't give much. Okay. What can you give? And then give what you can give. Don't think, well, I'm going to have to make a big donation for them to recognize me. No, you don't. You just do what you can do. God's given us all talents. And, some people's talent might be making money, where another person's talent is be able to do a camp newsletter. So do the camp newsletter. If you have the ability to insight that you could invest it in all this stuff 10 years ago and made all this money, fantastic. Just do what you can do. And we should all be doing that. I think the worst thing that we can do is not take advantage and use the talents that God gave each and every one of us. I think the first sin that we make is when we do that is the first sin is to Him by not using and making use of the talents that you're given. And, that's one of the things I've noticed about working with these men that I have over the years, even from Calvin Hart, who gave me this shirt, dedicated men, hardworking men, always trying to do the right thing and always doing something. He was the first one that I ever heard say that hope is not a battle plan. And he is right. Hope is not a plan. You have to have a plan, and hope is, well, really should never even play into it. You should develop a plan that, that hope it does not play a part in. It maybe plays a part in calming your nerves, but it doesn't play a part in getting the plan actually done. I'm not rich by any means, but I don't know. Yes. All righty. See, there you go. Perfect.
There's something we all can do.
There's doing
And
yes.
everybody knows on here I am a college student. And what goes with being a college student is accidentally spending all the money that your father has given you and then eating Roman noodles for a good solid week and a half, or eating just cafeteria food for a solid week and a half because you spent all the money that they gave you, or doing something. I don't have much money by any means, but the money, usually if I'm alone at an SCV event, I've usually paid for that SCV event, and when I get back to my house, that's it for the month. Or
Yeah.
if I donate a bit of money when I can to the museum. I donated some money to the forestry internment. It's all doing stuff when you can, but always trying to do something.
Oh yeah, and of course we're talking about some of this stuff on the national level, but let's get all the way down to the camp level. I mean, let's be honest. The power of this organization is with the individuals in the camps. I mean, it is. I've always believed in the power of the individual. And people say, well, you're talking about one person. No, I'm talking about the individual. And if each individual, not one person, but if each individual would do everything that they could do to the best of their abilities and give what they can do, or give time. It might be you don't have a lot of money, but you got some time. Donate your free time. If you have a little bit of extra cash, donate it. If you're good at recruiting, go out and recruit.
Yeah.
The power of this organization, it is not at the top. Don't ever make that mistake and think that. The power of this organization, we are a grassroots organization. We're built from the bottom up. The power is the single greatest entity in our organization is the camp. The single greatest asset is the individual. So we need our greatest asset or each and every member that we have in an organization, number one. And then you take those individuals, that greatest asset, and you put them into and create a great entity such as a camp. That camp has power. That camp can do things. That camp can raise money. That camp can change a city council's mind. That camp can erect a monument or a memorial. That camp can get dedications. They have all of the power with them. And then you take those and you take camps and you have camps working together and they're part of the brigades. And then the brigades become part of the divisions and the divisions become part of the armies. But if you realize that all of this is a grassroots bottom-up organization, that starts with the individual. And when it took me a while to realize that, when I was getting up in the national and I'm going, well, national can't do it. National can't. I mean, I'm living here in Middle Tennessee and all that stuff was going on in Richmond, 10, 12 hours away. I couldn't do anything to help them. I watch it on TV and call them and give them support and, try to get some to them, but I couldn't do anything to stop it. In fact, that whole summer, the people who could do something about it didn't. And those were the politicians that were in office. And I know that we're not a political organization, but as individuals, we can be political. We are not a political organization, but as individuals, we can be political. So I'm going to state my opinion as an individual, as the man sitting in front of you, because it said on here, when it got started, the views and opinions, there it is. And I'm going with mine. It was not BLM and Antifa that took the monuments down. It was politicians. So we're not a political organization, but as an individual, you can be political. You can also grow your camps. You can also get your camps active. So never doubt the power you have as a member of this organization. Never take it for never come and say, well, I'm just one person. It's not going to matter. I have seen camps revived because of one person. I have seen camps succeed because of one person. And remember, I just said the camp is the greatest entity, is the strongest entity in our organization. But you've heard me sit there and you talk about the individual. One of the things that when I first come on to the council was, what can I do? Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to improve yourself. You have to make yourself better. And that's what I began the process of doing. What can I do to make myself better? So being part of a business on this end, I started studying parliamentary procedure. How's the proper way to run the meeting? I've gone to enough national reunions to hear the parliamentarians and the people out there going back and forth that you can get completely tied up in this. If you have people that know exactly what they're doing, they can tie stuff up, they can roll stuff into, and okay, I didn't know any of that. So as an individual, I had to. And if you learn parliamentary procedure, and then one of the things, if you read my first couple of articles, it was about studying our Constitution, because I did not know SCV's national Constitution to the level that I needed to know it. And tell you the truth, I still don't. I read it, I know it, I listen to what people have to say about it, but that's just one of those things that I'm still going to be doing from now on, is trying to make myself better. And that's okay. So I have to improve myself. Okay. So I go learn the parliamentary procedure. I learn our Constitution, and then I start studying our history, because when you start moving into an office like that, it is not just my local history. I have to know some history of what goes on down in Mississippi. I have to know some history of what goes on in Kentucky. I have to know what goes on, also the history that goes on in Arizona, Florida, Kentucky. This is all part of it. So it's learning never stops. It should never stop. So I've got books here that if I lived to be 200, I would never get them all read. But it is books that I pick up and I read, and I try my best to learn our history. And what I mean is, remember what I said, American history is Southern history, and Southern history is Confederate history. So you go all the way back. If you want to learn what your forefathers had in mind, you have to go all the way back and read and what they were writing in the 1700s and early 1800s. So you have to go back. And then people said, well, have you read so-and-so's book? And it was somebody that's written a book in the last 10 years. Well, I've read a few of them. I've read one of Larry McClooney's. I have read most of the Kennedys. The Kennedys put out a lot of books. And I have to admit that I haven't read all of them, especially when I'm talking to Donnie Kennedy and I start talking about it. And he goes, oh, that was the second edition of The South Was Right. You need to get the new edition. So all of a sudden, I'm supposed to have 5 different editions of The South Is Right, because the Kennedy brothers, I'm slip up. I'm sorry. They're not the Kennedy brothers. They're the Kennedy twins. Okay. You never make that mistake. I made that mistake and they both corrected me. But the Kennedy twins just sit there and they're spot on. You need to read it. You need to know it, especially their book on gun nullification. I mean, I'm reading that and I'm going, okay, now that's some thinking. But they knew the history and they knew how to put it together and they knew how to present it. So, some of the people that you read that have written stuff in the last 5 or 10 years, great material, but it just hasn't all been put together right. And great books. And Carl Jones is right. The South is still right. The South is still right. So we have to sit there and we have to study our history and we have to learn our own history. And then it occurred to me one time that we're creating history every day. So what are we doing to protect the history that we're creating today. You know, the forestry interment, you realize at some point in time, I was telling the Ed Phillips, who was the Forrest family attorney, him and I were talking one time, and I said, you realize that at some point in time that somebody is going to want to write a book on the forestry interment? At some point in time, somebody will. All right, we got, and I didn't see all that. The division and measuring each other and SCV must stop. It's time for us all across the Confederacy to unite and remember while we started this journey, we are family and friends. The SCV is all of us. Unite and become the organization that our great Confederate ancestors wanted us to be.
Amen.
Wow. Okay. Now, considering I had something like that written in my last article, or maybe not the last one, or maybe the one before, was we got to stop this. I'm more Confederate than you. There is something, and I say it to where everybody in this, not everybody, I'm sorry, that was a wrong statement. There's some people in this organization that want to spend their time dragging somebody down to make them better, to show that they're more Confederate than they are. And there's these competitions that I see on Facebook. I'm more Confederate than you. I've actually read that on there, that statement.
So
I'm Confederate than you. Why are we doing something like that? The one thing that we should do is when somebody comes up to me and they go, I've got 13 Confederate ancestors. That's great, man. Your family's been around a long time. You know, how can we, tell me about them? There's some of them got 13. I got 26. I got twice as many. That means I'm twice as Confederate than you are. Why do we have to do that to each other? Why can't we just say, hey, man, that's great. What units were they in? My goodness, your ancestor, my ancestor served together. They fought together at, wherever, but they don't. They just, I'm twice as Confederate as you. When you need to realize something, you're never going to be more Confederate than they are. And that is where you need to come from. You need to come from the fact that you're never going to be as Confederate as they are. And they still are. Not Confederate as they were, because they still are. If you're here and you're their descendant, then they still exist. They might have long been gone and they might be in the ground, and we all know they are. But all it takes is one drop of Confederate blood in your veins is enough.
Amen.
It doesn't matter. Did you know that for a long time, I only knew that I had one Confederate ancestor? I found one. That was it. I didn't look for any more. Do you know why?
Why?
It only took one to join this organization. I figured I would find them along the way, and I have. I found them along the way. But for a long time, and I'm talking years, one. And, it's...
When my dad joined the organization,
that's like them comparing and saying, oh, you know what? I was at Shiloh and Perryville. Oh, well, I wasn't at Shiloh. I was at Perryville, though. Oh, that means I'm twice as Confederate as you are because I was in both those battles. I mean, they didn't do it, and we shouldn't be doing it. I'm more Confederate than you. Brothers, sisters, we're all Confederates. Mm-hmm. Why can't we just get along? And I understand the friendly competition. That's not what I'm talking about. All of y'all know that guy out there that if he shows up at a camp meeting, he's got to prove he's the most Confederate person there. And if a new member comes up and sees that, that's going to run that new member off. Because, one of the things I wrote about was when you have recruitment and retention, I know they have them put together. And I know why, because it's membership. But recruitment and retention are completely different things. When you go out and you recruit, let's think about it as getting a girlfriend, okay? You go out, now look at him, Moose is already smiling. Let's think you got to go out and you got to get a girlfriend, okay? You're getting a girlfriend. You're going out and you go out on the first date, second date, third date, You're liking each other. It's going good. All of a sudden, this looks like it might become something. Now you're in the retention part. You've already recruited her. Now you're in the retention part. Now, the mistakes that you made in the first part, you're not allowed to make in the second part, because by the time you've been dating 3 months, you better know her middle name and her birthday and her favorite color. Because if you don't know that, she ain't gonna keep you, because you ain't paying attention. Because you paid enough attention to her that when you recruited her as your girlfriend, or she recruited you as her boyfriend, you were paying attention, you were listening, you were doing all of those things that you needed to do to be, to get their attention. So you have recruit, and once recruitment comes, all of a sudden you got to get retention. And when retention comes, you have to give them something different. You have to give them something more. You have to, when it comes to membership, okay, have programs that they will enjoy. Find out what their interests are. If they want to clean tombstones, clean tombstones. If they want to put up something, then put up something. If they want to do a monument or memorial, if all they want to do is just come to the meetings, encourage them to come to the meetings. But don't do anything that's going to run them off. And pointing your finger in somebody's face and going, I'm more Confederate than you because I have more Confederate ancestors than you, you've lost them. All right. I've seen and heard these arguments where you spot on. Also see when a new camp is made and SCV members and that's going to go in. Yeah. Guys, we gotta work together. I've been going on here for a while now. We're really about an hour into this, and I didn't mean to go off on a rant like that. But we need to think about working together. We need to think about ourselves as individuals, and we need to think about working together as a cohesive unit. Now, I'm going to go ahead and talk about some things. Now, I'm going to get into something that's going to be getting kind of detailed here. I'm over at Elm Springs, and a couple of Sundays ago, it's probably close to a month ago now, I was up there mowing on Sunday, and I noticed a car over there by the Equestrian Statue, and the security guard was coming over there. Okay. Wasn't any harm done. They just wanted to see Forrest's gravesite. But this is what happened. The guard was making his rounds. Just a timing thing. They pulled up. As you know, there's cones across. They moved the cones. They drove into the parking lot. They went to where the chain was. That's the road that goes from the museum all the way up to the house. They took the chain down and drove all the way up to the Equestrian Statue. Now, they hadn't been there but a very brief time, and the security guard in his vehicle headed there lickety-split. We're going to have to secure Elm Springs. We're going to have to put some kind of security gates up the back of that, because these people just wanted to come see Forrest, and they moved the cones and took down the chain that we had to go across there. So I spoke to the security guard, and he said, that happens sometimes. He said, some people just pull up, park at the cones, and start walking up. And he said, yeah, they have told me there's people come up and start moving cones to come in. So we're going to have to do something, and because I've been up there a bunch on the weekends, and there's people that try to come in. And we're going to have to do something to secure that place a little bit better. And that is one of the things that, I consider Elm Springs our hearth and home. And I have, we've put a lot of effort and a lot of time and a lot of money and everything into this place. Guys, we're going to have to protect it. One of the things I'd like to see is us spending the money to put a gate up. Now, here's the thing about putting one of those things up. It ain't going to be cheap. and the ones that we're going to need to get to where, if a fire truck pulls up and they blow a horn, hit that certain decibel and it'll open, we're going to have to get something like that. So the fire department, in case they need to come on, they can come on. That's an insurance fire kind of deal. You're probably looking at $30,000. This is not going to be a cheap deal, but we can lose more in a second than we're going to spend on a gate. This is just something that, and people asking me, what do you want to do? Well, I'll go ahead and tell you right now, we need to secure Elm Springs down a little bit more. Actually, we need to do it quite a bit more. We need to put the gates up, and to me, that's just one of the things that I would be talking about pretty much right off the bat, we're going to do something like that. And then another thing that I'm going to be talking about is that we're going to need to work with all of our heritage organizations, all of them, UDC, SAR, DAR, War of 1812, MOSB. We're going to have to work. All of us are going to have to work together. I made a statement recently that none of us ever need to feel like they're an island all alone. All of us need to know that we have friends and we have help, not just amongst our own organization, but because other organizations. And we're just, all of these heritage organizations, we're just going to reach out, shake hands, talk to each other, work together. We've got to stop this death by 1,000 cuts we're doing to each other. And that is just where we just sit there and we pick and say and we do. And, after a while, no matter how strong you are, you're going to be cut all to pieces. You're going to be cut all to pieces and you're just going to bleed out. So we've got to stop this death of 1,000 cuts. We're going to have to work together with these other organizations. We're going to have to put our own knives up and stop cutting other members in our organization. We're just going, if we keep this up, we have all read books and we've all studied the war. How many battles were lost because a Confederate general would not go support another Confederate general because it hurt his feelings or it made him mad or he didn't. How many battles lost? How many of your ancestors died because of that? How many of your ancestors died because Leonidas Polk, an Episcopal bishop, would not go and enforce somebody and reinforce somebody because he didn't like him and because he felt like he had been stepped over in being promoted? At what point in time are we going to stop doing that to ourselves? And then what point in time are we going to stop doing this against other organizations? And we're just going to, okay, you know what? Grow up and be a man. Okay? John Wayne it. Okay? I don't have to sit down and have a beer with you or have a cigar with you or have a drink with you. And we don't have to take cold showers at wee hours of the morning together. But the one thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to shake hands and work together. And the one thing they want to do the most is divide us and make us come after each other. We're going to have to be smarter than that and realize that we're being played. And we're also going to have to be more man than that and more woman than that and just step up to the plate and get the job done that needs to get done.
Amen. Get on that preaching box, Jason.
Well, it's just one of the things that has really bothered me the most about this is, these organizations that just, we're not out on a limb alone. We don't need to be. Whatever we're going to have to do to get this going, I'm all for it. But I'll go ahead and tell you this. There is one thing that no matter what happens, whether I get the job or I don't get the job, okay? I realize that there's an election coming up and the membership is going to get to do one of the greatest liberties, and that is decide who runs who is the commander of this organization. If I am the guy, I will do everything I can to do the job to the best of my abilities. And when my time is rolled off, I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm too short-legged and I'm too heavy to run. So you're just going to have to put up with me just moving along. But the one thing that I still want to do, and I will keep this up no matter what position I'm in. And I have spoken, and I spoke about it at Metairie, about the toolbox. We need to do everything we can to put the right tools in the toolbox to do the job that we need to do ahead. And we all know what that is. So we have to do and create the tools to put in the toolbox so this organization outlives every one of us. And it is strong, and it is prosperous, and it is doing well. And where the camps and the members and the divisions, we're all working. And if I am not the guy, I can also tell you this. If I'm not the guy, I'm still not going anywhere. I'm still going to go out there. I'm still going to take care of Forest Grave, which is one of the things that I have really gotten interested in, is this whole Guardian program. And that's one of the things that I'd like for us to work on, to where, to me, that is part of our charge. And I would really like for us, some of us that really into the graves and that, is to work on the Guardian program. I'm still going to go out there. I'm still going to weed eat Forest Grave. I'm still going to mow the grass out there. I'm still going to come to national reunions. There is this thing about our organization. We're the only organization I know of that you can participate at any level that you need to participate or want to participate. If all you want to do is just be a paper member only, you can do that. If you want to just come to meetings, meet, eat, retreat, whatever you want to call it, you can do that. If you like cleaning tombstones, you can do that. If you like cleaning cemeteries, you can do that. If you like memorial services and dedication, you can do that. If you would like to give talks, you can do that. If you like to reenact, you can do that. All I can say is this: if you're not active and involved in this relationship, and I'm calling it a relationship because this is an organization, but this organization is made up of relationships of all of us. If you're not involved, it's because you choose not to be. That is your choice, and you have every right to do that. My choice is to be involved, by the way. So I'm going to continue to do what I do. If y'all guys get me in, I'll do the job to the best of my abilities. But I can tell you right off the bat, when we get into the fall, I'm going to be talking about putting this gate up. And I know that we're going to have to spend some money to do it, but we're going to have to do it. And I know that we're going to have to work on, I am going to have to work on being a better man and a better member and a better officer in this organization. So it is completely and totally left up to y'all. But if you have any questions about how I really feel about a lot of stuff, come to the national reunion and we'll talk about it. But I will say this past Monday's talk with Commander-in-Chief Larry McClooney and working with Larry McClooney has been, I've loved it. We have had some tough times, but, you know, he said I said it, and he's right, I did. We talked more on the phone than two men ever should. But it was one of those things that had to happen to get the job done that we need to get done. Yes, it is too late to add the gate into the budget at the reunion because the budget has already been prepared. Right now it is being gone over, but this is just one of those things that we're going to, that we're just going to need to do. I'm running also, and win or lose for either of us, you always have my support, and I will be there. Perhaps if I can, thank you, Kenny Ramsey. Same here. Been around you enough to know that, yeah, I'll go to the mattresses with you. No problem. You know, we've got all these things that we have to do coming ahead of us. You cannot be afraid of what's going to happen. You're going to have to proceed forward. And I'm still going to repeat something that Calvin Hart said. And well, there's Calvin popping up now. What Calvin said is hope is not a plan. So we're going to have to plan, and we're going to have to get a good plan, and we're going to all have to work together and execute it the way that it needs to do. And that's going to require all of us. Who is running for lieutenant commander is a fellow by the name of Donnie Kennedy. Donnie Kennedy is running for lieutenant commander in chief. So I hope that, but yeah, I didn't finish what I was talking about. Larry, working with Larry he's really good. He really is. And his heart's in the right place. His mind's in the right place. He has been excellent to work with. We have not always agreed, but we always come to some kind of agreement. I've said some things he didn't like, but we bounced ideas off each other, and we kept trying to work to make it happen. And then Donnie Kennedy was on then as well. I know they both got into a very heated conversation. Heated's wrong. A very sparky conversation to where they were going back and forth. But I agree with both those men. We have an obligation, and I do not take that obligation lightly. And if you see fit to make me the next guy, then I will do the job to the best of my ability. And that's the only political statement that I will make. Do you have any questions?
Moose? No. I was happy to let you take the reins. I think you've said a great job, and you spoke from the heart. And I think all the chat heads are in your corner agreeing with you. Now, I'm not speaking as any of my positions in the SCV. I wound up with quite a few out of nowhere. I'm not speaking as the producer of SCV Chat. I'm speaking as Harrison Dawes, the average member of the SCV, that
the individual
that Jason Boshers, who may or may not be my father, has my full support as the next commander-in-chief of the SCV. Again, I'm not speaking to any of my positions. I'm not speaking as the producer of SCV Chat. I'm speaking solely as myself, that he has my full-on support. And I cannot wait to see what he does if he is elected for these next 2 years. I know that they will be a great 2 years if he's elected. And whoever is elected will have my full and other support under them to do whatever they ask and what is necessary of me.
Well said. If I'm not the guy, I'm not going anywhere, and I'm going to fully support the organization to the best of my ability. And because I think our ancestors deserve it.
Amen.
I think our ancestors deserve it. And not just mine, yours as well. I think my thinking is that our ancestors deserve that. So I'm not going to go anywhere. If it turns out I'm not, you know what? It ain't going to change a thing. It just means that I will not have a gavel. But I'm still going to mow the grass. I'm still going to go to dedications. I'm still going to do all of that. And guess what? I'm still going to stay active in my local camp. I'm the camp adjutant. And yes, I've just been sitting down on Salesforce and paying bills on Salesforce, paying national membership, and I'm not going to go anywhere or do anything else. So it's just the way it is. I'm going to do me. You know what? I'm just going to do me. That's simple. Oh, and I will probably upset the apple cart a time or two. I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out just so everybody knows. if you go to the Constitution, you go to the very back, and you read about the committees. I'm going to be reactivating some of those committees that might not be doing anything or haven't done anything or whatever. I'm going to be evaluating all of those. I'm going to go to the standing orders and looking at all of those committees. And there's probably going to be some appointments in there. And I'm going to try to get some of those revived because, well, they're needed. And the one thing that I'm going to ask from them is reports given to the General Executive Council and reports put in the Confederate Veteran, because I think that our committees and the membership needs to know what the committees are being appointed to do. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Hudson. If not us,
who?
If not now,
when?
That's what it comes down to.
And
yes.
Jason, I want to say how refreshing it is to hear someone that is running for an office in this organization. I'm not going to point fingers at people, but that would support the SCV and support if someone did beat them regardless.
Yeah.
Because I think you said it a bit ago. Our ancestors, they paid for us to be in this organization. It is not our right. It is through them that we are able to be in this organization. And we owe it to them to give our very best in this organization. No matter who's in office, no matter if you agree with them, no matter if you don't like them, if you can support the SCV, if you can protect the Confederate soldiers' good name, you need to do it and give it your 100% effort. And so I'm happy to hear someone actually say that.
Yeah, and I'm agreeing with you. I don't do a good job of running off. That's just, I'm not one of these people that's going to get offended and walk off because honestly, I got too much to do, and it's just, what are we going to be doing next? Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm having to work some schedule around right now because I'm trying to get 2 people there to take a look at the Forest Equestrian Statue to give us an assessment on the work that needs to be done with that and how much that is going to cost. I mean, it's just, we've got to start planning on that. And people say, well, when are you going to put it up? Well, originally I was saying we hope to do it in the fall of next year, fall of 2023. But I think right now, because there's so many decisions that have to be made and so many other things that we have to get done, and we need to make sure that we do it right and with the right respect and everything, you're probably looking maybe even into the spring of 2024. The General Executive Council is going to have to make a lot of decisions concerning the cost, the plaza, everything else. It's just going to be one of those things people are already asking. We got to do it right. This is just one of those things. And actually, sitting now, looking back, the fact that the pandemic come when it did, and it delayed the burial, it actually gave us more time to get a lot of little stuff done right that we could get done ahead of time. So there's a lot of decisions still that have to be made ahead, but got to take a look at the equestrian statue. We've got it sealed up. Nothing's leaking into it or anything like that. But because I stood on the back of King Philip and fixed Forrest's head where it got scraped up. But somebody's going to have to come in and do an assessment of it and fix all of that. So, this isn't going to be because we're going to have to be right.
It takes time to do stuff right. And if there's anybody that does, well, first off, let me rephrase myself because I was about to put myself in a hole. All Confederate veterans you need to take the time to make sure you do everything honorably and treat them right.
Yeah.
And that being said, because I was about to put myself in a hole, General Forrest deserves the time to be done right, correctly, especially after the last couple years of abuse he took in the unnamed city. He needs to be treated right. And us here at the SCV need to take to understand that in order to do things right, sometimes it does take time. Yes, I would love to see the monument up there next time. I mean, the equestrian statue up there next time I'm at Elm Springs. But if I want to see it done right, and if I want to take my grandkids there one day, be like, that right there, this is the SCV International headquarters, and that there, right there, is the equestrian statue and the burial place of General Nathan Bedford Forrest and his lovely wife. I want to be able to say that. And two, sometimes I forget that the statue and everything up has already been up for 100+ years. And so we also need to make sure we take care of it.
Oh, yes. And you're right. You know, we don't want to put it up there and then 2 or 3, 5 years down the road, we've got to take it back down because we didn't do something that we should have done. You know, but the whole point is we can't just sit there and do nothing. So that's the reason why I'm going ahead and bringing the people in to go ahead and take a look at what it's going to cost to fix it and what's going to have to be done. And I'm getting a couple of people to do it so that, truthfully, to compare what they've got to say has to be done, you know, and to compare the cost and look at some of their work and the GEC make a decision to do it. That's not going to happen. It's just not. It's just going to have to be one of those things that, you know, so that in itself is going to take some time. So with a lot of stuff going on, there's going to be a lot more going on. I really hope that the museum keeps going in the direction that it is in right now. It's the goal to have the Forrest statue and the Lee statue. The Lee statue that we have is one that an individual donated. And yes, it will be up. We'll be looking at putting it up soon. But as far as getting anything, nobody's wanting to give us anything. And I've asked anytime, not every time something's come down, but most of the stuff that I hear about, I asked for it. And as I was told by someone in one of the offices, no, we're not going to give it to you because we know you'll put it back up. So a lot of stuff is probably not going to come to us, but we are asking for it. But the Lee statue that we do have was one that an individual many years ago had made that is a copy of the one. And I think Commander McClooney talked about it in Washington, D.C. And it's a very nice statue, by the way. So, you know, we've got a whole lot of work we're going to have to be doing. But you know, let's just, first thing to do is let's stop taking the knives to ourselves and to our own groups and start working with all these other organizations. Because the one thing you do realize who your real enemies are. And my real enemies are not trying to destroy a way of life that our ancestors created. Just that simple. I have to keep stuff real simple. So I've gone on way too long. It's 8:25. I've gone on an hour and 25 minutes. Y'all tell me. See y'all, whoever's coming. See y'all in Cartersville. Let's take care of some business and enjoy each other.
Yes, sir. And everybody remember that Jason is running for our highest office in the organization. He is running for Commander-in-Chief. He has served the last 2 years as a very passionate and involved Lieutenant Commander-in-Chief, and he has a decorated service of the SCV.
Well, as somebody told me, well, we know you're involved somewhere, so.
Well,
yes, and Jeff Fugit, I heard you. I have been told that by multiple people in Kentucky. You Tennessee boys are long-winded. I was up there speaking at Perryville, and I finished the talk at Perryville, and that was the first thing that fellow walked over, put his arm around me, and go, "Boy, y'all Tennessee boys sure are long-winded."
Don't worry, us Mississippi boys are too.
Yeah.
Thing is we'll do it in the most uncomfortable positions. It'll be like 95 out, sun steaming right at you. You got two Mississippi boys in blue jeans, boots, and T-shirts talking straight in the sun.
Yep.
For an hour and a half.
Yep.
But again, Commander, thank you for coming on. It's always great to have you on the show.
Pleasure's mine. Thank you for having me. Thank you for going through the effort of scheduling this. And everybody keep Linda Gramblin and Paul in your thoughts and in your prayers. Happy birthday, happy 101st birthday, Lieutenant General Nathan Bedford Forrest. And again, Florida strong. Thank you, Calvin Hart.
Yes, sir. Now, we're going to answer a question real quick. Is there any book on the history of the SCV? I don't know of any. I would love to see one. I'm very proud of this organization. I plan on being an author one day, so don't be shocked if I put one out one day. Will it be good? Probably not, but I will put one out one day. Also, remember that we are having our episode of Look Around the Confederation tomorrow still. So make sure to share this episode and share and email scvyouth@gmail.com, and you'll be featured on the upcoming episode of Look Around the Confederation. Make sure to send your news stories in tomorrow. We also have Mr. Charles Larayon, who is running for Army of Trans-Mississippi Council. I'm happy to have him on. And we will be at, of course, a busy week coming up at National Reunion. So also happy and excited for that. But as always, I'm going to leave you with these words. First, remember, Jason Boshers is running for Commander-in-Chief, and since he's not a politician, I'll be one for him. And remember, if not us,
who?
And if not now,
when?
And we'll leave you guys with no Fumar in the elevator. Good night, everybody.
Stay Southern, my friends.